You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver.
What the hell is that?
Podcast.
Happy day, happy day. Hey, guess what day it is? It's new microphone day. Ransom has a new microphone. We're so happy. Maybe it won't sound like I'm coming from the tunnel of poor people anymore. Welcome to the Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast. I'm your host, Ransom the Mad King, and I am joined alongside Poot the Bard, Beef the Legend, and Tiger Bomb Tom. Those last two individuals allegedly are the Cruiserweight Tag Team Champions. I won't call them co-champions because they don't deserve that moniker. They're Tag Team Champions. That's right. They're one step down below actual Cruiserweight Champions. That's how I feel about it, and I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. We have, speaking of the Cruiserweight Championship, picks to do on this episode. I love picks episodes because I get to pick the brains of the three gentlemen who participate in speaking to me about wrestling, about what they think is going to happen, why they think it's going to happen, and I hope everybody listening enjoys the picks episodes as much as I do, because I love to hear the insight into what these three guys think about what is happening in the wrestling world as it pertains to matches. So let's go ahead and get this shindig started. We're picking something that we originally didn't have scheduled to pick, I believe. Is that correct, Mr. Legend?
We had kicked it around, but given the gravitas of the show of AEW Grand Slam, we are going to be picking Grand Slam 2 parts. Part 1 on Wednesday, Part 2 on Friday, and thus we are treating them as 2 separate shows, meaning we'll have 2 sets of picks on the same show.
Wait. What? All right, so we're doing
shows.
So we're doing
we've done
2
this
sets
before
of
with
picks.
AEW, where we split them up. We're gonna have 2 sets.
right, so
Grand Slam night 1 will be 5 nights. Grand Slam night
5
2
nights?
will be 5 points, 5 matches.
Okay.
Night 2 will be 3 points, 3 matches.
40 days and 40 nights.
Yeah,
of
that
wrestling.
seems foolish
Get on
instead of
board.
making it just 8 points. I mean, good Lord, math. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do some picks. I'm going to pick. You could pick your friends. You could pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose unless you're one of the 4 members of the Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast. Then you can pick your friend's nose.
You don't want to pick my nose.
I ain't scared of your cootie nose. I will pick it, and I'll pick it with my pinky finger.
I thought you were going to say you'd pick it with your tongue.
No, well, no. The only picking I do with my tongue has to do with beef, but we're not going to talk about that on this episode because this isn't breaking kayfabe. So we'll save it for then. Stay tuned and look forward to it.
All
Who
right.
has the list?
I have the list. I'm just waiting for you to just waiting for the end.
On
we
the
have-
end. The end.
We have the end. I was waiting for a time before I could speak, and that was that time.
Time before I can speak.
You heard me. We have 5 matches for AEW Grand Slam Night 1, 3 matches for Grand Slam Night 2. Therefore, Night 1 will be 1 through 5, Night 2 will be 1 through 3. We will go through them individually. The first night, we have Brian Pillman Jr. versus MJF. Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes. Sting and Darby Allen versus FTR with Tully Blanchard.
That's important.
For the women's AEW Women's Championship, we have the defending Britt Baker, DMD, defending against newcomer Ruby Soho. And in the main event, we have a dream match, not for the title, but it is Kenny Omega versus the American Dragon Bryan Danielson. So, yes.
What?
Julie, yeah. Why'd you talk that way, Beef? I had a stroke.
I told you, alcohol and antibiotics hand in hand.
Fuck.
So
We
to
make
lead
good
off-
decisions on this podcast.
Yes, we
Yeah,
do.
let me tell you.
Yes.
Well, to be fair, I drank a bottle of beer and I'm like, wait, I'm taking antibiotic. Maybe that's not a good call. So we're pumping the brakes a little bit. All that being said, let's start with the other half of the wonderful Team Tiger Beef, Tiger Bomb Tom, lead us off. MJF versus Brian Pillman Jr. Who you got? How many points?
Okay, how many points do we have to wager for night one?
5.
5. Okay.
Get the COVID out of your ears.
Real quick, before just to buy you a little bit of time.
Here we go.
A score update. Let me pull up the other
Scupdate.
sheet here because I'm
Who's
prepared.
beeping their horn?
A scooper poop.
No.
It's the Motor City Machine Guns.
Oh,
Oh no! What are you doing with them? What are they doing here? Leading
live
the
here.
leading
What are
the
you
pack.
doing with them?
They live in Detroit. That's why they're the Motor City Machine Guns. you
they
clod.
live here.
All
Kevin
right.
Nash.
That's Diesel's from Detroit. Nash's from like St. Louis or some shit.
What's the update?
All right, Pat. Right now, the bastard is leading all contenders with a point total of 65 points.
Sweet mother.
Coming, and perfect pick. He picked every match correctly on All Out and picked Ruby Soho 2 debut and put 10 points on it. Congrats, Pat. You're leading after one night. We'll see if you can continue. Following him swiftly is Denny at 64. Coming in at 63 is a tie. Dave, our buddy Dave, is at 63. And finally, I can say someone from the podcast, Ransom, also is 63.
Yes.
At 62, we have the incumbent, Tiger Bomb Tom,
Boo.
followed by myself at 60.
Boo.
And then there's a pretty long gap.
Yup.
Putavard has 52.
Yup.
Yay. Oh.
It is what it is. I took some risks.
Amber, Pat's wife, has 44.
Allegedly.
And Dos Hermanos Lucha, 42.
Oh,
Well,
Dos
now listen.
Hermanos Lucha.
I will say
Yeah.
this. In their defense, we're not picking AAA. So
True.
they're gonna be behind. This is an American show,
True.
not the Mexicans. So
All right, so there's your score update. So if you want to know where you stand, that's where you stand. Tiger Butt Tom, I have filled enough time for you. Let's hear your pick. MJF, Brian Pillman Jr. Who you got?
MJF for 4.
My man. Yeah, dude. I'm also picking MJF. This is like the easiest one to pick. So, of course, I'm putting 5 points on it. Bootski.
Oh my God! It's gonna be MJF, and I'm gonna put 5 on that because they need to keep him healy. They need to keep him rolling. And no offense to Brian Pillman Jr., it just needs he'll have his time in the sun. And apparently,
Yeah, man.
apparently he's also kind of a dick backstage, from what I understand.
Really? That's unfortunate.
Now I this is so I heard, but he apparently has a little bit of an attitude problem. So
a bit of a what?
attitude problem.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the same thing was said of one Randy Orton fucking 20 years ago.
Yeah,
And
look
now
where he is now.
He's one of the greatest WWE champions of all time if you ask the right people. So, attitudes can change. He's got the skill, he's got the moxie. But you're
John Moxley.
100% you're 100% right.
yeah.
Not have time yet. Ransom, who you picking?
I'm picking that guy for 5 points.
Oh, that guy. Okay, got it.
The one that everybody else picked.
Captain Burberry, got it. Moving on.
Bird person.
Phoenix Man. Phoenix
No,
person.
it's Phoenix person now. It's people.
Malachi Black versus
THQ
Cody
Man.
Rhodes. This, and it's my pick. This is a tough one. I know what they should do,
Yeah, right.
but I also know that Cody has a real tough time putting anybody else over. And I don't know why, because that's his fucking job. As like an EVP, he should be wanting to put people over. So, that is a problem in and of itself. So I say this tentatively, with much tentativeness. I am picking Malachi Black. I'm putting 3 points on it. Poot, what do you think?
I'm also going to agree with you. I really think that they should have Malachi Black because Cody just, trying to stray away from just being like, Cody's putting himself over this hero. Like, he should see the writing on the wall, and taking Malachi Black taking a loss this early. And I understand, like, the formula from NXT, what they did is they had him just win and win and win and win and win. And that is how it should be right now. I'm not saying it should be as long or as big of a stretch as it was in NXT, but they should have him just win and win and win. Make it a good contest. Make it something that he has to struggle through and that maybe he even barely pulls out the victory. But he needs to win. So I'm going to go Malachi Black, and I'm going to also, I'm going to put 2 on this one. I'm going to put 2 on Malachi Black.
Right on. Here's my thing. Here's what makes me really nervous. He's already struggled against Lee Johnson and Dustin Rhodes. Neither one of those victories were as quick as they should have been for him. So I feel like if Cody doesn't win, he's gonna get like the put the old college try out there. Like he's gonna really make Black look like, I don't know. I just got a bad feeling about this match. Ransom, what do you think?
For all of the reasons that you guys have said, I'm going to pick Malachi Black, and I'm going to put 1 on it because I don't want to beat a dead horse in conversation, but I feel it bears repeating. We all know what needs to happen, but the track record with Cody, I don't know what's going to happen. So that's my rationale.
Yeah, man, that's a smart call. I like it. How about you, Tom? What do you think?
You know what? I don't know. They haven't faced off in an official match yet, have they?
They have. Black won. In fact, it was pretty much a squash. That's whenever Cody was taking his boots off, and
Okay.
Black kicked him out of his second boot. So
Okay. You know what? I'm going to be the dissenter, but I'm still not very confident in it. So I'm going to say Cody for 1.
yeah, I mean it's literally a toss-up. I hate that I had to wager 3 on it, but you'll see my rationale as we go. Moving right along, we have the Icon, Sting, and Darby Allen versus FTR, comprised of Cash Wheeler and Dax Hardwood, with Tully Blanchard in your standard run-of-the-mill tag team match. Poochki, do us the honor.
I know, coming off the heels of a loss to CM Punk, Darby Allen, Darby Allen can eat all the pins in the world. He has that same gravitas as like a Finn Balor or a Seth Rollins, or like not trying to make any big like woo kind of statements, but it's like he has that same it factor of being able to eat all the pins and people still love him and will cheer for him, and he's still a viable contender. You know what I mean? So I am gonna go with FTR on this one, and I'm gonna put 1 point on it.
Ransom.
Oh.
Oh.
I don't disagree with our resident bard. I think he's very accurate in his stating of Darby Allen and his pin consumption. I don't know. I don't know what a win here does for FTR as opposed to a win here for Sting and Darby Allen. I mean, I don't know. It's a regular run-of-the-mill tag match, so pardon me. I don't know. I'm going to go with Sting and Darby Allen. I'm going to go 2 because I don't know.
All right. Tom?
Well, I think that being that MJF is going to stand tall in his match, somebody from the Pinnacle is going to have to eat a loss. So I say Sting and Darby, and I'm also going to say 2.
No, all right. I am picking FTR for 2 points. So AEW has a wonderful tag division, albeit crowded. And FTR has kind of lost its place amongst those teams via injury, via booking issues. So I think that we're probably going to get this extended a little bit. It wouldn't surprise me if we get something like Sting versus Tully at Full Gear in November.
Oh, that would be interesting.
And I wouldn't hate it. To be honest, there's a lot of people I trust in the ring, a lot less than Tully Blanchard, even at his advanced age. So that being said, I think that they need to really get FTR on a roll here. Plus, I think that FTR might be the next honest to God contenders for the tag titles. I know the Butcher and Blade are probably going to get a shot, but I think that FTR is going to be on the short list. So I think that this is a way that they get back in that title picture. So yeah, again, I'm picking FTR with the 2-pointer. Moving right along, we have Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, defending her coveted women's title against Ruby Soho. Poot. Nope. Ransom.
I'm gonna get what points do I have left here?
You have 3 and 4.
So I'm gonna give this one a 3, and I'm gonna say Britt Baker. Now, not that Ruby Soho isn't deserving of the title, but and again, what the fuck does it mean whenever I say in my opinion? Because what the hell do I know? I feel like it's just a little too. She just debuted. I feel like it's a little too jumpy, gunny, knee jerky to put the title on her immediately. I think it'll eventually get to her, but I think there needs to be some build up, and I would like to see it at a pay-per-view event to give it that big time feel, that big time meaning, especially that big time crowd reaction. She got a huge pop on her debut. I want an equally huge pop with a big fat crowd when she wins the title.
For all intents and purposes, this is a pay-per-view. Arthur Ashe Stadium is going to be, as far as I know, pretty well filled up. I'm trying to see what the actual has a capacity, that this is for tennis, of 23,771. So I'd imagine that you probably get a similar capacity in there for wrestling. Would not shock me if they have around 20,000 in there, which would make it bigger than All Out.
Oh my! Well, I'm still standing with Dr. Britt Baker.
Understandable. I just wanted to make sure that the cat was out of the proverbial bag.
I just want to
appreciate that. Thank you, Beef. Thank you, Beef.
Tom, who are you picking?
Plain and simple, Britt Baker, 5 points.
Oh, you're going hard. So this is
I always go hard for the
damn
DMV.
it.
This is why I saved. Wait, you, Tom, you picked MJF for 5 points already.
No, I picked him for 4.
All right, I'll adjust that on my score sheet then. Okay, so Baker for 5. Okay, cool. This is why I held back my lower numbers, because I'm actually picking Ruby Soho here. Not that Britt Baker's not an awesome champion, not that she hasn't had a decent run, but I think that Tony Khan is 100% riding the wave of the new breed, the new arrivals. And I mean, people love Ruby Soho. So I think that he's going to capitalize on it and make a title change. And I think Ruby Soho takes home the belt, because they can call that an AEW. So I'm picking Ruby Soho for 1 point and
Penis.
new champion. Who?
I am, Beef, you and I are following the same line of thought. I think this would be a good shakeup. I think it wouldn't, delegitimize Britt Baker at all. I think I just think that it would be good for all parties involved. And I think that, if you look at the two of them, like Ruby Soho and Britt Baker are kind of not polar opposites, but they're a dichotomy enough that it would make sense. And I think it would bring in, Ruby Soho, who was kind of kept under thumb, which is a trend we're seeing. So I am also going to go with Ruby Soho for 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Aces.
Oh, it's not looking good for Ransom.
Well, and the other half of this is, remember, she doesn't have to win the title for us to get the points. There could be any amount of interference from Rebel or from Jamie Hayter. This could well be a disqualification win to set up some faffery down the line. Finally, for AEW Grand Slam Night 1 next Wednesday, we have Kenny Omega, the reigning defending undisputed AEW champion, the PWI #1, the best damn wrestler in the world, allegedly, versus the American Dragon, the unchained and unhinged American Dragon.
Yes, sir.
Bryan Danielson. What a fucking match. I'm telling you, like, they're going to see a beaut. I was like over the moon whenever I got to see Omega and Christian on Rampage. I think that this is going to be every bit that and then some. Tom, who you picking?
I'm gonna say Bryan Danielson for my 3 points because that's all I have left.
You would be correct, sir.
I regardless if it's a DQ, being that it's a non-title match, I think this is one where you could have D-Bry get a good win and kind of shake it up, and just the same as how Christian beat Omega for the Impact title, but he kind of didn't beat him for the one that really counts. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? Kenny can take a loss here, and it's not gonna hurt him in his title reign at all right now. So,
yep, that's accurate, and that's also the reason I'm picking Bryan Danielson for 4 points. I'm putting a big motherfucker on that because I don't think you have Bryan Danielson come in just to lose his first match. I like the idea of Danielson and Omega. I think it's probably going to end shitty, if we're being honest. I think that Danielson's probably going to get some sort of like a DQ or something from the Elite. But that being said, I think it's only going to perpetuate, and extend this feud. November, I think it's like mid-November too. It was originally early November was Full Gear, and they pushed it back a week to avoid clashing with the UFC pay-per-view. Seems like Tony Khan and Dana White are buddy, which is cool with me. I'm fine with that. Plus, it makes sense. Why try to fight something that's already established? So I get it. But that being said, we're talking 2 months here. I don't know if this feud has that kind of longevity, but we'll see. But I think this is going to be step 1. Danielson, 4 points. Pootsky.
What do I have left there, Cowboy?
4 points.
4 points. Well, it's going to be Bryan Danielson for 4. I feel like, again, AEW really does a good job of putting their cards or putting their chips in where they need to. And I feel like between Ruby Soho and Bryan Danielson here, like, I think these could be two things that would shake things up a little bit because, Amdrag getting a win over Kenny Omega, a non-title win, it kind of sets a precedence. And it sets a little bit of a, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just think that is the jam. I think that's the way to go. And I think the crowd pop will be incredible. Like, again, Kenny Omega can eat pins whenever it's strategic. I think it would just happen. So I'm going D-Bry.
Nope.
B-Dry. Sorry.
B-Dan.
I was just
B-Dan.
thinking we made it through a segment calling him the right name, and you blew it. You blew it, Poot.
Well, listen.
It wasn't quite his slave name. It was
That's
his
true.
slave nickname, so it's not as bad.
Also,
It's
Beef,
not as bad.
I learned it from watching you, Beef.
That's true. He did.
Yeah.
Damn it, Chuck. Go ahead.
I was wow. He went with the hard C there.
The hard C. Oh, yeah.
Hard C. Ransom, who you got?
I'm picking Bryan Danielson for my remainder in hopes that A, he wins the match, massive crowd pop. It's going to be great. And also, maybe perhaps this does set up for an eventual title match between the two. While I want Adam Page to get his just desserts, his due comings to hims, I would love to see Bryan Danielson with that AEW title, winning it in a match one-on-one that wasn't originally somebody else versus somebody else, and he gets put in to make a triple threat match. I want a clean one-on-one, no shenanigans victory for him to win the big title. He deserves it.
Plus, doesn't the American Dragon Bryan Danielson versus CM Punk for Big Platinum at Double or Nothing, doesn't that just like get your motor running just a little bit? Just a little bit?
It has to. It has to eventually happen because those two are magic in the ring together. And as CM Punk even said on one of the podcasts he did, he told WWE, you need to keep, I'm not going to call him his WWE name, you need to keep Bryan Danielson far away from me. We only need brought together when it's going to be a big thing.
Right.
We shouldn't be having matches on Raw or SmackDown against each other. That shouldn't happen. These matches should be special. And I don't know how much more special you can get than CM Punk versus Bryan Danielson for the AEW Championship.
And
Well, right there.
The other thing that Punk talked about on Oral Sessions, he mentioned the conversation of possibly tagging came up, and he brought up, who would you want to see CM Punk tag with? Come on. And he was like the American Dragon. Just imagine those two in the tag division at some point doing their thing together. My God.
Blow the roof off the tag division.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, it's the best tag division in the wrestling universe, bar none. NXT used to have a very formidable one until it got blown up and raided, no pun intended. So now it's far and away AEW, all night, all day, pun that time intended. Moving right along, AEW Grand Slam Night 2 on Friday night, Rampage Grand Slam, another big card. I love that they put together this massive card for the big show in New York. So we have a 6-man tag with the Super Click, which is a fucking great name, which is Adam Cole, Bebe, and the Young Bucks, Nick and Matt Jackson, versus Christian Cage and the Jurassic Express featuring Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus. We also have the Inner Circle, comprised of Chris Jericho and Jake Hager, versus the Men of the Year, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, with Dan Lambert. More on that to come. I'm super excited about that pairing. And then finally to main event, the perceivably main event, is CM Punk versus Powerhouse Hobbs. As Punk is working his way through the House of Taz, presumably to get to Ricky Starks at some point, which will be absolute fucking money. So those are your 3 matches for Grand Slam Night 2 Rampage. I will lead us off here, unless there's any objections. And we'll start with the Super Click versus Jurassic Express and Christian Cage. This is tough because they could go a number of ways here. Adam Cole versus Kazarian on Dynamite, by the way, was pretty fucking great. If you didn't, if you missed it, go back and watch it.
I completely missed it.
Kazarian is the absolute most underutilized talent in AEW, and that's saying a lot because they have a lot of guys that they're kind of faffing about with. Brian Cage like to throw his name out there, but Kazarian is an absolute main eventer in any company in the world. And all WWE wanted him to do was take the sunglasses off and get a haircut. So, Adam Cole is another new blood. Another guy coming over from New York, as they say. So I think that they're going to be setting up something either with Christian Cage and Adam Cole or Jungle Boy and Adam Cole, and I hope it's the latter. I really hope it's going to be Jungle Boy and Adam Cole, baby.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the seeds have been planted, and this is just going to continue this. I like the Super Click in this. I'm putting 2 points. And again, we have up to 3 points on this night, so I'm putting 2 points on the Super Click. Poot.
I am going with the Super Click for 3 points.
Look at you.
I'm going
big dick swinging.
Big dick swinging.
That's a weird noise.
Yeah, I know, right?
I didn't like it. Ransom.
All right, sorry. Here, I'll fix it.
That's even worse.
I know. Well, no, and it's just I think it would not behoove AEW to have Adam Cole be on the losing end of things out of the gate. I just don't. I know that's very basic and very kind of a plebeian assessment, but that's just how I see it.
Poot, you are never a plebeian. I want you to know that. Everything about you is special.
Thank you.
Ransom.
Well, I got to tell you, between Poot's moist mouth noises and the fact that we're talking about Adam Cole, I am 6 to midnight. I'm going to go ahead and say Super Click for 3 points. Of all the people, not to discount Daniel Bryan in this. Sorry, Bryan Danielson. Not to discount him. Adam Cole is a big fucking deal. Adam Cole debut, big time match. I mean, I know he wrestled on Dynamite, but this is, his first big time match. That man needs a win. At the end of the match, he needs to stand in the middle of the ring, do his Adam Cole baby shtick. Heel or not, the crowd is going to say it with him. This is not story time with The Rock. This is Adam Cole time, baby. He's got to get that win. It has to happen. Damn it.
We'll talk about that between these picks because I think that there's an interesting point here. But Tom, what are you thinking for the 6-man tag? Who you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Super Click. I'm gonna put 2 points on it because I'm saving my 3 for a different pick. But definitely Super Click. Gotta have Adam Cole looking strong. I have no idea what happened with his match with Kazarian, because I don't get to watch the weeklies. So I have no idea if he won or lost that match anyways. But I think regardless, I think Jurassic Express and Christian can definitely afford to eat a pin here. And being that the Bucks just lost the titles, it couldn't hurt to give them a little win here. Being that even though it doesn't necessarily do anything for them as far as in the ranks of the tag title hunt or anything like that, it's more so of a vehicle for Adam Cole. Not to discount the Young Bucks by any means, but you know what I mean. It's more important that he gets the win than anybody else. So Super Click, 2 points.
I love the fact, and this is kind of tangential here, but I love the fact that AEW can put together a massive 2-night event with only one title match and make it seem so important. They have all these matches that feel so big time, and they don't have to be title matches. I think that's one of the things that drives AEW is the interest in the every match
in the undercard, in the quote unquote undercard, not just the main title event picture.
Exactly, because everything's got a feature, and I love it.
That's insane,
right?
I know, right?
So, as pointed out by our buddy Switherdub, Sean Witherow, he is a big time fan of being the elite. And I want to get into it, but it's 30 minutes, and I know for someone who has an hour-long podcast, I get it. But 30 minutes is kind of tough to watch a YouTube video on. At least our stuff is available on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on Anchor, so you can
Also
go about
on
your
YouTube.
business.
Also on YouTube.
Also on YouTube, but you can go about your business. With YouTube, if you shut your phone off, then the audio stops. Which is
you could
bullshit,
always
so.
cast it to your TV too. I mean, there is
That's
that
true.
option.
That is my point here is there.
Get a bowl of popcorn or a light snack. Sit down and watch a little BTE, or watch our logo on the screen while you listen to our sultry voices here on the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast.
My point here is, as much as I want to get into it, it's tough. But Sean, he watches it. He loves it. He pointed out something very, very smart. With being the elite, they're not really focusing on Adam Cole being a bad guy. And everything that Adam Cole has kind of talked about, he's not like a villain. He's not like, I'm here to, blah, blah, blah. No.
He's a heel that makes good points.
Well, not just that. He came back to be with his buddies.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he believes that the elite are the coolest guys in the world, and he just wants to hang out with them. So he doesn't necessarily fit into the face and heel echelon as neat and tidy as like the Bucks and Omega do, because he's not a dickhead. At least he's not, clear dickhead like the other guys are. He's just hanging out with his buddies. Now, that distinction could obviously change if he ever becomes like a lackey to Kenny Omega, like the Young Bucks have kind of become. But I think it's really cool that they're keeping him kind of tweener because they know that the crowd loves Adam Cole. And there's no way in hell, even if, he came out and he kicked Brian Pillman Jr.'s grandma or whatever, like there's no way in hell that they're going to boo Adam Cole, baby.
I thought you were going to go with, like, kick a puppy. Then I thought you were going to go with kick Brian Pillman Jr.'s puppy. And then you went with his grandma.
Because his grandma was at the show. It may have been his aunt. I'm not sure. But yeah, she was at the show last week in Cincinnati. So
makes sense.
You don't take a heel like Stone Cold Steve Austin was a heel.
Right.
And go over the top to make the crowd hate him.
Right.
And I think there's longevity in their sight here, because while they want him to be a heel now, I think there's going to be big money and big crowd reaction, probably big merch too, in an eventual Adam Cole face turn.
Oh yeah.
So you don't take a cool heel like Adam Cole and try to make him a shitty heel that people really do want to boo. Because full well, eventually it's going to come full circle, and you're going to want to turn him from the cool heel into the cool face that everyone wants to have. Like, he's the face that people want to hang out with. Like, this dude, I would sit down and play video games with him. I'd go and have a beer with him. Like, I'd listen to him just talk about the biz. He's that cool of a dude. You don't want to turn him into a lackey type heel like the Young Bucks have become to Kenny Omega. You want to keep him cool.
And I already can't wait till they start having static with him and Omega. Like, it's gonna happen. Then it becomes, where do the Bucks fall? Where do their allegiances lie? Their old buddy Adam Cole or their new buddy Kenny Omega? I feel like the writing is on the wall there with that, because the Bucks have been with Kenny Omega for a long time. They've been heels for a decent amount of time, and you don't attempt to copyright the word super click if you don't have plans coming for that. And I feel like the big plan for that is eventually going to be the self-destruction of the quote-unquote the elite and the rise of the super click. That's going to be the new faction, and I think you'll see the Young Bucks have a face turn in that, and you'll see face Adam Cole, face Young Bucks. They're going to be the super click. It's going to be pretty much the second coming of D-Generation X. Here's what I love. So when when the elite was really taking shape, the heel elite that is, and Omega had the Good Brothers and that whole shtick, the Young Bucks were kind of on the outside looking in. They were kind of like at odds with Don Callis. So much so that like they showed up at Kenny Omega's house. You know, there was a fight. The camera went black, and then Don Callis showed up with the blackened eye. You know, indicating the Young Bucks punked them because he was changing and influencing their best friend. So, I gotta wonder if at some point during that time, Tony Khan didn't, because it was literally night and day. 1 week they were at odds with them, and then the next week everybody did the too sweet in the ring, and that was that. There, now we have the Elite. So it was literally like flipping a switch. So at the time it seemed odd to me, but I'm like, well, I'm sure there's a reason. I gotta wonder, Tony Khan sitting in the back sipping on his tea goes, you know what? Someday in the future we could end up with Adam Cole. And what better way to dissolve the Elite than have him teaming up with the Young Bucks and destroying it from the outside in, or from the inside out. I'm by no means am I saying that that's the case. But I would like to think that maybe that played a small part in the planning process.
Agreed.
I digress. Back to the picks. All right, so we also have Chris Jericho and Jake Hager versus the Men of the Year, which again are Scorpio Sky and All Ego Ethan Page, with Dan Lambert. Dan Lambert is the coach of America's Top Team, which is an MMA team in UFC. Notable fighters include Jorge Masvidal, who is the current BMF champion in UFC. Not a real championship, but something that's kind of passed along. As
he's a
the
bad motherfucker.
Yep.
Kind of like the FTW championship.
Masvidal is no fucking joke. Like he's
yep. Also, just worth mentioning, as a member of American Top Team, none other than former WWE champion Bobby Lashley. But I digress. This is something that's been playing out. Andre Arlovsky, for other MMA fans, that's a very notable name. Junior Dos Santos, I could go on. The Lioness, Amanda Nunes, one last big one.
Pump the brakes.
But the story here is that for, I don't know, a decade more, UFC, Dana White has wanted nothing to do with Vince McMahon, nothing to do with WWE. They have done as much as they absolutely can to distance themselves from pro wrestling. I love that Dan Lambert is showing up with the apparent approval of Dana White, with guys like Jorge Masvidal, Andre Arlovsky, even Amanda Nunes made an appearance. And she's like right now the best woman martial or MMA in the world. She's like what Ronda Rousey should have been.
Rondy.
And
Rindy Randarug.
The point here is that UFC is definitely dipping their toes into getting into bed with AEW, which I think is a big win for both companies involved.
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna set the background. Dan Lambert's been coming out with the UFC guys and being like, hey, you know what? AEW sucks. Wrestling sucks. You're all a bunch of idiots. Just a big heel shtick. And the men of the year have been kind of like cornering for him. They've kind of joined his camp, and so now we're getting, I guess, the eventual payoff of that with Hager and Jericho versus the men of the year. Go ahead, Ransom.
So maybe it's not so much that Dana White wanted nothing to do with pro wrestling. Maybe Dana White wanted nothing to do with sports entertainment, because there's a amazingly crystal clear distinction between AEW and WWE. One is sports entertainment, the other is pro wrestling, and they make no qualms about that. So maybe Dana White didn't like the idea of messing around with Vince McMahon because it's Vince McMahon, And B, maybe Dana White didn't see the value in sports entertainment, but maybe Dana White can see the value in pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm. And I think at the end of the day, as long as his guys look strong, as long as UFC doesn't look like a third fiddle, like I don't think Dana's gonna have a problem with it.
No.
You know, and you know what? Like Dan Lambert could 100% be going rogue. He could be like, you know what? I'm doing this. As far as I know, I don't think Arlovsky is still in like active in UFC. I don't think that Masvidal is. I know that Amanda Nunes is, and she only made one appearance. So
I think the people in UFC have that type of reverence for Dana White.
yes,
Not like the people are beholden to Vince McMahon in WWE. People like Dana White. They like what he does. They like his business ideas. Like they like him. So I don't think this guy is going to. Why is everything so fucking loud in Mordor? Just the Denzians of Mordor are just the insolence. I don't think this guy is going to go rogue on Dana White strictly out of respect for him. So I believe if you see anybody from UFC who's currently active in UFC show up on AEW, I really don't think they're going to do it without Dana White's blessing. That's my speculation.
Yeah.
I was wrong, by the way. Andrei Arlovsky is scheduled to take on Carlos Felipe at the UFC Fight Night in October. So he is still active. So yeah, I mean, I would think that
they have to be doing it with his 100%. Blessing.
Yep. So, but regardless, we do have a pick here. The Inner Circle with Jake Hager and Jericho versus the Men of the Year, Scorpio Sky, and All Ego Ethan Page. Poot, lead us off on this one, please, and thank you.
Oh boy. I'm thinking that it's going to be the Men of the Year. Because I just, again, it you know, run the lineup by me one more time. I'm sorry. I'm coming down from my first heavy workout in a couple weeks, so like I'm starting to kind of get like fuzzy. So I apologize, guys.
No, man, you're cool. Chris Jericho and Jake Hager versus the Men of the Year with his Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Dan Lambert cornering the Men of the Year.
I really think that the Men of the Year are going to take it. It would behoove them to keep kind of pushing. I think that Jericho and Hager can afford that loss. I just think it would be something interesting, honestly. That's just me. What do I know? I'm going to go with them, and I'm going to go with 1 point on that.
Ransom.
What did I pick already for point-wise?
I'm going to go P.
Super Click for 3 points.
For 3, okay. So I'm going to pick Men of the Year also for 1 point on this one because I think coming off of the big win from MJF, a loss here doesn't hurt Jericho. And no offense to Jake Hagar, but I don't know if a win or a loss benefits or hurts him at this point. So who cares about him?
Tom?
Men of the Year, 1 point.
I thought that this was like I thought it was being very progressive in my picks, and I'm like, I'm gonna catch them all off guard. You guys are like reading from my playbook tonight. I'm picking Men of the Year as well, and I'm putting my 1 pointer on it. I think that this is what Jericho envisioned when he signed on with AEW, which is making people look good. I think the involvement of Dan Lambert here tells me that we're going to get something big down the line from Jericho and Dan Lambert, potentially. I like that Hager's involved. Hager is undefeated in Bellator currently. He's, I believe, 2-0. And on Dynamite, Jericho even talked about his scrapes with some of the UFC guys in the past as well. So that was pretty smart. But I think that, you know, that this is going to be a gateway into getting Jericho versus maybe one of the UFC fellas coming down the line in at Full Gear. Card subject to change, honestly, but you know, I like the Men of the Year here as well for 1 point. Plus, I mean, come on, like Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky are pretty damn great. So, and finally, we have CM Punk in his first televised match. Well, not pay-per-view. Her first not pay-per-view match in several years. Versus Powerhouse Hobbs. And this would be Ransom's pick. Who you got, Ransom?
Oh, Dr. Elvis. Oh, cardiac infarction.
Dr. Elvis.
I'm going to say...
Is that right?
I don't know if Punk is going to lose this one, lose yet. I don't know. This is a toss-up, and I have no idea, so I'm not going to drag this thing out. I'm just going to say my remaining point for CM Punk.
All right. Tiger Bomb. That's 2 points for you, by the way, Ransom. Who you got?
CM Punk for my 3 points.
I am also going Punk, and I'm also going 3 points. However, it is worth noting that Powerhouse Hughes sent Big E a
Hobbs? Powerhouse Hobbs?
Sure did. Oh, I said Hughes. Oh, no. Powerhouse Hobbs.
Wow.
There was an independent wrestler named Powerhouse Hughes. That's where I got it. Powerhouse Hobbs sent Big E a congratulatory tweet with winning the WWE title. And Big E responded, giving him all the props in the world, saying something to the line of, you're the man, you have all the tools and all the talent. I can't wait to see you develop. So real recognizing real, as they say, but I don't think it's Hobbs' time now. I'm picking Punk for 3. Poot, finish us off as you like to do.
Oh yeah. I am also going to go with I'm going to go with Punk, and I'm going to go with 2, my remaining 2. I don't think it's time for Punk to lose yet.
Yeah.
I just don't. Like I feel like whoever gets the CM Punk rub, that's real. That's like a mark of this is the guy. You know what I mean?
It's going to be big deal territory.
Oh yeah.
Interesting note there, Beef, since you mentioned about the tweet between Big E and Powerhouse Hobbs. I think at one point, because I read an article about that, and it said that WWE had actually passed on Powerhouse Hobbs at one point. I'm wondering if they thought if they didn't see the value in it because they kind of saw him at like kind of almost the same as Big E in a way, if that makes sense, but I you could draw a lot of comparisons between the two in both their size, speed, and I mean obviously Big E lots more experience and more ability, but you can kind of draw the comparison between the two. But I kind of wonder why WWE passed on him. But we wonder why they do a lot of things. But it's good to see Big E acknowledging some young, well-deserving talent there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And spoiler alert for show number 2, we're going to get into some of that wonderment of what WWE does and does not do. Show number 2 this week's going to be a fun one.
Oh yeah.
But those are our picks, ladies and gents, for AEW Grand Slam Night 1, Night 2. Now the ball is in your court. I'm looking at you, Pat, Amber, Denny, Dos Hermanos Luchas, and Dave. You owe us picks, and you owe them by Saturday.
Allegedly.
Of course, by the time you hear this, the time for picks
Your
will
picks
have
will be in by the time you hear this episode.
If not, you fail.
You get
nothing.
I gotta tell you, I'm only like 6 to 7:30 on that one. It's not as 6 to midnight.
Not the same.
That's
not the same
same.
unless
not the
Beef
same.
does it.
It's okay.
Speaking of things that aren't the same unless they're done properly, I believe we can't have a proper ending to an episode unless Poot takes us to Moe's.
All right, I'm taking you to Moe's. Thank you all very much.
Welcome to
Thank you very much for listening to the P3 podcast. Make sure to catch our second episode of the week. Oh, that's right. We're doing them too. We're changing up our dynamics so that you folks can more easily digest the insanity that we put out there. Want to thank very quickly our sponsors, because in the second episode, I'll give them a little bit more time. Mr. Casual Gaming, easy for me to say. Casual Gaming Dad himself, Mr. Tiger. Uppercut Bomb Tom. I want to thank Sean Tischler and his work with independent wrestling, IWC, in the Pennsylvania area. I want to thank Gold Gaming for carrying all of Casual Gaming Dad's merch and our very own P3 podcast shirt. You can get it for yourself. Doesn't cost you $49.99. And we also want to thank Frig Off Ransom. There you go. All of our sponsors. And also, I got to give a special shout out. To Dos Hermanos Luchas and all the newcomers to Picks and who are vying for that P3 title. Can't wait to see how it works out. Also, I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy Ethan on the Hookah Chats podcast. Ethan, you're a huge wrestling aficionado. Why don't you vie for that belt? Take it over to your podcast and then maybe run us down a little bit and then get us all angry. And then we can have you on the podcast and talk to you a little bit. I miss you, buddy. All right. Yeah. Make sure you stay tuned for our next episode this week. Hey, guys. Stinger.
Oh, speaking of things that need to be done correctly, it's the Stinger. And for those of you who are listening who were there on Tuesday night, I'm looking at you, Big Red Greg. This one's for you, buddy. Hi-ya, you motherfucker!